A blessed day, my dear students. Welcome again to our subject, um, Human Rights Education or CLJ2. But before we proceed, allow me give you to remind you of some of our netiquette in conducting our classes. Okay, here I hope you are now reminded, my dear students, of your obligations of during the classroom instructions. So I hope you will be reminded on that, and please be be noted on those things that are given emphasis in the Nitikate. So today we will be discussing about human rights. So as we all know, human rights, as defined last time, is defined as the concept of human beings as having the universal natural rights or status regardless of legal jurisdiction or others localizing such as ethnicity, nationality, and sex. So, universal rights. So, human rights is accepted as a universal natural rights regardless of who you are, what is your nationality, your race, your gender, or even a place where you came from. So what is or what rights what human rights are? So human rights set of standard that guarantee a life befitting a rational human being. So it befits our being human, meaning um, because of human rights, we are bounded to call a human being. And all our action also is guided by the human right law. So these are basic and minimum standards without which people cannot live in dignity. Yes. So this is very true. We cannot live in dignity if we don't have this standard uh, human right. It guarantees the development and wholeness of our being. So we can only define human, we can only feel our being human if and when uh, we experience being respected. So human rights are the foundation of freedom, justice, peace in the world. So denial of human rights is not only an individual personal tragedy. Very true. It creates condition of social political unrest. Social political unrest. So what does it mean? It might create chaos. It might create conflict. It might create problem as a whole, such as violence, conflict within societies and nations. Countries that do not have human rights may tend to experience these problems. So, human rights must be appropriate and adequate to the basic needs of the people. So, the term is adequate. It's enough, no? Not merely not given too emphasis, just enough in order um, to feel the needs of its people. So, being aware of human rights comes to the responsibility in developing, protecting our dignity and that of others. So, again, human rights are the framework of actions where people are empowered to change their lives and society. So, there are four characteristics of human rights. Human rights are inherent. Human rights are human rights is universal. Human rights is indivisible. Human rights is inalienable. So what does the term inherent means? It is essential part of our lives. It is intrinsic. So in other words, it is already inherited by the people without even passing on or without even uh, law that is needed, no? Just to only to recognize. So human right is inherent. It is already uh, a part of your being once you are you born in this world, no? So as I've said in our previous discussion, even when you are still at the embryo stage, not even a fetus, you already inherited with you such right to born, no? So once this is inherited, it is uh it is permanent, no? It is permanent, and no one or nobody can take it away from you. Human rights is universal because people have human rights whoever they are and wherever they are. So as I've said, universal in the sense that it is applied to all regardless of the race, nationality, the country, or even the gender. It does not discriminate to where you came from, who you are, what you are. Whether you are educated or not, you are you are rich or poor, it doesn't give implications. So human rights is also indivisible. It must be enjoyed by everyone in its full range. So it cannot be divided, no? The term indivisible cannot be divided, no? It cannot be enjoyed by someone while the others can. So indivisible is the correct term, unable to be divided or separated from human once you have it with you. And lastly, inalienable. What does it mean? Inalienable. The term inalienable simply speaks that it is unable to be taken away from someone or given away by the possessor. So, a good example of this, uh, let's say the wealth or the property of your parents. The, the wealth and property of your parents can be uh, given to someone or inherited by someone and can be taken away from them, especially when they die. So, inalienable, this can't be in, in other way in other the opposite of that is inalienable. It cannot be taken away nor transferred to someone even if you die. So it is uh uh it cannot be taken nor transferred to someone nor a law that will be need to be augmented or approved just to give it to someone, no? So the term here is cannot be limited to others. Now, human rights can be classified as civil rights and political rights. So if we say civil rights, it pertains to rights belonging to persons by reason of citizenship. Name, right to freedom, right of name, right of freedom from discrimination, right to equality before the law, right to public trial, right to marry, and right to leave a country, or what we call as a political asylum. So civil rights pertains to persons who belonging to a person by reason of citizenship. So example of citizen right is your right to claim that you are a citizen of a country, like you are a Filipino, no? And if you are having a breed of other nationality, you can have the right to claim your nationality to other countries or from other country rather. So political rights enables the people to participate in running or influencing the administration of the government. Yes, we have the right to vote even if we are already in prison. Even if you are already a prisoner, you are still bounded the right to vote, the right of freedom of expression, the right of free and periodic elections. So, but remember, though the government or though the people or the government itself provided us the civil and political rights, but it may have limitations. No, the freedom that we have may may be limited or it has limitations. Also, economic rights. It pertains to access to resources such as land, labor, physical, financial capital that are essential for the creation, legal appropriation, market exchange of goods and services. So one good example of that is your right to work, right to own a property, or right to possess a property, and the right to adequate standard of living. Economic right. You have the right to choose your work. You have the right of freedom to work. Uh, no one can persuade you to work. No? You have also the right to access the resources of your nature, such as land. No? You have the right to cultivate the land. No? And uh, pasture it abundantly. No? You have also the right to own property, the right to have a house, a car, or anything that might be valuable to a person, or the right to adequate standard of living. So all of us has uh, are given the right of economic. Then the social rights. It is relate to the living together of or enjoying life or communities or organized groups, such as the right to social security, the right to social welfare, and others. So, social security, you have the right to protect yourself against what? Ah, from people who are destructive. You have the right yourself to be protected from what? uh, from harm or danger, for example. Or you have the right to be a member of an organization or a group to enjoy your being. No? The right to social welfare. You have the right to enjoy the services of the government. No? And the right to feel freedom or security and security. Then we have cultural rights. So it ensures the well-being of individual and foster preservation, enrichment, a dynamic evolution of arts, manners, and way of living. So a group with principles of unity, diversity of expression. Example is the right to take part in cultural life, right to enjoy the benefits of scientific progress, and its application. So, ito yung sinasabi natin na ah, mga 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 ah, right ng mga katutubo, no? O karapatan ng tao, no? You have the right to practice your own culture, no? Or even your art, no? Of the way you live, no? In a group, no? The government may the government uh, cannot prevent you from doing it. Now, you have also the right to education. As we all know, everybody has the freedom of access to education. So education class is very important regardless of the nature of humans. So it could be whether you are a man, a woman, an old, a young, or even uh, a teenager, or even still ko ano, uh, a, a child or a toddler. So the human right to free and compulsory elementary education to readily available forms of secondary and higher education. The government is bounded to give a right to education freely to his citizen. No? The human rights to freedom of discrimination. So, there is no discrimination of all areas or level of education. As long as you are capable of learning, you are capable of doing, you are capable of exercising your freedom of education. So it is still, but again, let me remind you that it may have limitations. It is not an absolute, no? It might be depending on the situation. There are instances that this will be abused by its own people itself, no? So the human right of informations about health, nutrition, reproduction, and family planning. So you can also have the right for family planning, or you may also have the right to have your own family or to have a healthy lifestyle or a healthy and nutritious lifestyle. So it is embedded to you or to us. So, okay, human right education are universal, indivisible, meaning it cannot be divided nor taken away from you, interconnected, meaning it has uh, uh, it has connections with each other. No, there is a collaboration with each other. Interdependent, no, interdependent, meaning you can do it on your own without even asking permission from others. No, human rights to equality between men and women, to equal partnership in the family and society. So, but I guess in this area, we have this in the Philippines because of our diversity of uh, tribe, no, the diversity of our culture. We respect also other traditions, such as the Muslim. The Muslim may may not follow uh, this ano, this concept because they have their own culture. So, yung si for example is the uh, arranged marriage, no, for Muslim. Okay? The human right to work and receive wages that contribute to adequate standard of living. Yes. When you do work, you have the right to receive wage, salary for short. And that salary is also in accordance with our standard. No, it cannot be below the minimum. It must be minimum, no? The right to freedom of thought, conscience, religion, and belief. Yes, we have also that right, no? The right to choose the religion, the right to, no, to praise and to choose our churches and others, and the right to an adequate standard living, no? The right to participate in any of the what policies in the community, local, national, and international levels. No, nobody can prevent you from participating because we are all accorded to that right. Okay? And also environment and human rights. What are these? So, all peoples should have the right to a generally satisfactory environment favorable to their development. Yes. We have the right to what? To uh, to have a land that is uh, where where we can grow and we will uh, no enrich ourselves, no, from that land. So According to Article 24 of the African Human Peoples' Rights, it says here, according to Article 2 also of Section 16 in 1987 Philippine Constitution, the state shall protect and advance the right of people to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature. Yes, and that is very true. That is why other municipality and provinces have their own sanctuary where the the animals or even the wildlife and even the sea animals or their water territories or their land territories are preserved, or even our wildlife, no, birds for example, fishes, clams, or even our natural resources. In peace and conflict transformation, let us define first what is the definition of peace. Peace can only be uh, feel with if there is an absence of war, absence of terrorism, the absence of direct and physical violence, such as this example, child abuse, sexual harassment, and others. So, peace is a state of process of well-being and security in which human rights are respected in basic human needs and basic human needs are met. Yes. So, it can only be uh, re- it can only be experienced when human rights are respected. Yes. Without violence, uh, re- uh, discrimination, racism, sexism, gender biases, violation of property, or violation, no, of human rights, or poverty perhaps, or economic recessions, or ecological imbalance. Peace is more than just the absence of war. The realization of justice, experience of rights and freedom. Not just the absence of conflict, creatively dealing with conflict. So that is why the government is so particular with the peace and freedom of its own country. Why? Because when there are war, again, as we all know, there is conflict. When there is conflict, there is chaos and there is no peace. Okay, continue. So what is conflict? Conflict, according to its principle, is a product of our inherent differences and diversities. So, iyon. Produkto ng ating pagkakaiba, differences, diversities, pagkaiba-iba at pagkakaiba. Yan. Naturally, when two people clashes with different personality, it may create conflict, no? So, pag ang isa ah, maangas at isa naman hambog. No? When these two people collided, it create conflict. No? So conflict is everywhere. It may be at home, at work, at office, or even in churches, or even in the government. The government also deals their own conflict. Or even us, we have our internal conflict. No? Personality conflict. So conflict is either positive or negative. So it's our choice. Our approach is our choice. It is determined by our own conception of conflict. So what is conflict transformation? A conflict transformation describes the fact that conflict changes things and it transforms relationships. Yes. When there is conflict, it may affect our relationship to others. Yes. Or it may affect how things works, no? How things normally works. So when there is conflict, it might change the way we do, the way we think, and the way we approach others. Halimbawa, pag may nakaaway kang tao, pero noong panahon na hindi mo pa siya kaaway, iba ang pakikitungo mo sa kanya. It may be you are open to the person, or you are you are talking to a person as often. But nung nagkayo ay nagkaaway na, changes occurs. Yes. You might be no? You might not be attending to each other, no? You might not even saying hi to each other. So palagi kayong nag-iiwasan. No? It prescribes the nature for us to be aware of our conception of conflict. Relationship is a focus of conflict transformation, changing it from one of competition to one of cooperation. Now, in human rights, arms control also is part. Why? Because arms, small arms and what are small arms and light weapons? So these are what we call the weapons that are used by, ito yung mga literal na mga firearm, weapon that are used by civilian or even in the military, no? It has different reasons. The people use firearms for reasons. Others are for to protect themselves, others to protect the country, others for the love of country, and others is to create a problem or to create a crime, no? So it depends on how we use the weapons. Now, weapons refers to the small arms and the light arms are weapons that carried by a person, either for military or civilian use. So, it covers a wide range of weapons, pistols, machine guns, and others to grenades, portable and anti-tank systems, and mortars. Now, again, when there is war, there is no winner. There's always losers. And the losers are those that are into the war. No? Walang mananalo pag gyera. Lahat talunan. Now, how arms or weapons affects human rights? Basically, even up to now, even from long time ago, weapons are used to kill, destroy, distract thousands and thousands of people, or it may leave people casualty. Ano? When in times of war, conflict, or trouble. So this, my dear students, affects our human rights. As we all know, in example, in countries of Syria, oh, in countries of in country of Saddam Hussein, no? In country of Saddam Hussein, when during his reign of being the 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 head of the state, no, there is some chaos, no, in Iraq. Yes. So the weapon is an extension of arm. The weapon symbolizes also power and, no, dominancy to others. So it might be used to what? For uh, for piracy, or even for trade, or even for drugs, and even contrabands, no? Okay. Now, violence against women. It might be sound interesting to you, but it may it we never take for granted that this always happens to our daily life, no? What is violence against women? How does it affects human rights, no? So, ang violence against women ay ang pagbabanta o aktwal na akto, asal o gawi or aksyon, or paglalagay sa panganib at pagbubunganga at pagbubunga rather ng pinsala, pagdurusa, ng katawan, pag-iisip, dignidad, kalayaan at ng kababaihan. Now, Republic Act 9344 or the not 94, 9262 or Violence Against Women and Children Law or RA 9262, no? Protects the right of every women and children in its category, no? And what are these categories? One, it is by true physical violence, emotional violence. Two, three, economic violence. Four, emotional violence, no? So four uh, characteristics of violences that might be uh, no experienced by a women or children: economic, physical, spiritual. It could be spiritual, yes, perhaps. Emotional, and no, uh, the other one is intellectual, no, I- intellectual. So this, my dear students, may affect or may be experienced by women and children, no, which is also related to uh, human rights. Now, in the case of Chris Aquino and James Yap, as we all know, they are an example of a no? An actor, a, a famous individual in our country. That according to Chris Aquino, she was a victim of 9262, allegedly. No? So, let us try to understand that when a woman is abused, their life is destroyed. No? Bawat babae ay anak, kapatid, ina, asawa, at sa makatuwid ay isang pamilyang naapektuhan. And that is very true. No? That is why in other country, I did not remember that country, but they have their naked run. They have their annual naked run. Even in UP does it. Even in our country rather also does it. We have their naked run, and that is to remind the people that uh, human rights must be upheld at all time. So in December 10, 1984, General Assembly of United Nations adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So this again, my dear students, uh, attended by countries, no, in order to declare universal, in order to recognize the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that will be adopted in all countries, regardless of the race, the status, the education level, no, ethnicity, or even who you are and what you are, no. So, what is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says? So, these are the following rights that are being taken to noted, no, taken noted rather: right to equality, right of freedom of discrimination, right to life, liberty, personal security, freedom from slavery, freedom from torture or degrading treatment, the right to recognition as a person before the law, the right to equality before the law, the right to remedy by competent tribunal, the right to be considered innocent until proven guilty. Yes. So this is for those persons who are in conflict with the law or who have cases or problems. The freedom from interference with privacy, family, home, or correspondence. So we have we have a right to protect our property. or right from interference of our privacy. So that is why we protect our home, no? Ito yung mga may mga bakod. Kaya nga binabakuran ang bahay para hindi mapasukan ng kahit kanino, no? Or even your family is also be protected. The right to free movement in and out of the country. Right to asylum in other countries from persecution. Yan. So, one good example of this, the leader of the NPA who seeks political asylum to New Zealand, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, no? Because he is evading our country's justice, no? So we have the right of political asylum. So when you are a political uh, suspect, when you are a political uh, when you are a political person who are uh, uh, wanted by the government, you can leave the country and seeks protection from other country. The right to nationality and the freedom to change it. Yes. But there must be a basis on this. The right to marriage and family, of course, regardless of our race and status. The right to own property, of course, the right to belief and religion. Freedom of opinion and information, or the right of the press, and the right to peaceful assembly and association. So these, my dear students, are being protected by are being declared in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Also, the right to participate in the government, of free election, the right of social security, the right to desirable work and join trade union. Very clear. The right to rest and leisure. Yes. Sometimes in your life, you have to unwind, forget all your worries. In Hawaii's term, Hakuna Matata. Forget your worries for the rest of your day. Right to adequate living standard, right to education, right to participate in cultural life of the community, right to a social order and articulate the document, right community duties essential to free and full development. Yes, you have the right also to to be involved in your civic duties. No, so you can join community service. You can interact with the people around you in your no in your community. Uh, so again, nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as implying for any state, group, or person any right to engage in any activity or to perform any act aimed at the destruction of any rights of freedom set forth here. So this, my dear students, reminded all the countries, promised by all countries also, that they will uphold all these rights as stated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights during 1987 Constitution or Convention rather. So I hope you learn. Um, Thank you so much for listening. Have a blessed day, everyone.